I am Patricia Redhawk, and I currently live in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I'm originally from Northern California, Bay Area. I've been a real estate investor for many years now, and I'm sort of constantly tinkering with my portfolio, tinkering with the tactics that I use. I think that one of the things that we learned through the 2008-2009 debacle is that those investors that were savvy enough to have multiple tools in their tool belt actually didn't take a bath as badly as a lot of folks did. So I'm constantly adding to sort of the arrows to my quiver, as it were, to make sure that I can continue my business and make money whether the market's hot or whether the market has cooled down. And so I stumbled on to Joe's YouTube videos, I think, and talking about lease options and other kinds of creative financing techniques that could be used. Joe has a lot of YouTube videos out, and I've actually viewed every single one of them, and some of them more than once. So I tend to have a kind of leave no stone unturned approach when I'm picking the mentors and coaches and teachers that I'm willing to invest with. And so I'm relatively new to Joe, but I feel like I've viewed all his material. As I mentioned, I have sort of multiple strategies that I employ, but one of the sort of classic ones I do, because it's so easy for people to understand, is I buy houses in my local market and other emerging markets, and I buy them at deep discounts. And that could be, I might buy them from other investors, I might buy them from home sellers who inherited something or something like that, or I could buy them at tax sales too. But in any case, I buy houses at deep discounts, and these are houses that have many, many years of deferred maintenance. So I go in and do a full gut rehab. So let's say I buy something for $30,000, and let's say I put $55,000 into it. So I'm all in at, say, $85,000. And then I put a tenant in it. The tenant might be paying, say, $1,500 a month rent. And then I go and refinance. So I happen to know that I can pull out, so let's say the house reappraises at $150,000. Well, I bought it for $30, and I put $55 into it, so I'm into it for $85. I've got a tenant paying $1,500 a month rent, and there are a number of asset-based lenders that will loan on, say, 70 or 75% of loan to value. So they'll put a mortgage on a $150,000 valued house at 70% of that value. So I happen to know off the top of my head, $150K house, I can pull $105,000 out. And I know that with a tenant paying $1,500 a month rent, their rent will cover my principal, my interest, my tax and insurance, plus property management fees, and still throw off positive cash flow for me. So basically, I do those all day, every day, and it has its own kind of ecosystem within my own portfolio and company, and so we do that day in and day out. And I'm primarily targeting, as I said, some emerging markets in the Midwest, as well as the counties surrounding Philadelphia. It's a little difficult to assess. So because for instance, I'm not flipping houses. My portfolios are buy and hold. So if I use money to buy it and then also fix it up, and I put $85,000, say, or $90,000 into it, and then I'm putting new financing in place to pull my money out, one way you could look at it is my profit is the difference between what I put into it, 85 or 90, and $105,000, which is the 70% of loan to value on this $150K house. So that's one way you could look at what my profit is. So maybe my profit might be $10,000, $15,000, or $20,000 per house. That's one way to look at it. But the other piece of that too is, I'm also getting a positive cash flow every month as well. And I have no more money in the deal. I have all my money back. So, the classic trick question is, well, what's my return on investment? Well, my return on investment is infinite. I have no more money in the deal. I've gotten all my money back. So this is why I say it's a little difficult to say, because I'm not a flipper and I can't say, well, gee, I make an average of $45,000 on a house. So that's kind of a difficult answer to give. Again, kind of hearkening back to the idea that the more tools you have in the tool belt, the more able you are to solve problems, and that's really what I do. So when I meet with folks who have a house problem or a property problem of some sort, the more things that I'm able to do, the more solutions I'm able to bring to the table, the more likely I am to be able to help somebody and do the deal. And so I'm fairly straightforward. I'm super straightforward, actually. I have those kind of common sense kitchen table conversations. And if I have a broad ranging conversation with the house seller, I can typically figure out what's the sort of easiest way or what the kind of range of options are that they have. And it's got to be a win-win. So, I have no problem educating the seller, saying, look, it looks to me like this maybe are your 4 options, and if you're interested in working with me, I can help you with option A, B, or C, but option D, there's no place for me to make money, so I'm not going to be able to help you in that regard. But, I give everybody all the information because they need to make the best decision for them. When you're transparent like that, it's instant credibility, and people know that when you're trying to mess with them or screw them, and I'm not interested in doing that. So it's super straightforward to kind of lay out folks' options. And, I'm actually a physician by training, and so one of the things that I do is I actually use this skill set from practicing medicine, from being a doctor, with potential house sellers too. And I go in with really broad, open-ended questions because I want to hear, what's the story of the house? Why are we here? And I'll get a lot of information, but it also helps me understand sort of where they are and sort of what are the challenges that they're facing. And if I have a good idea of what that is, I can sort of connect the dots and then figure out sort of all the things that I'm able to do, or all the options that exist for the seller, period, some of which I can help them with. That's a kind of a broader conversation and ultimately more helpful for them because they have all the information, not just, for instance, only the information that a real estate agent wants them to have. So I feel like the more tools I have in the toolbox, the more solutions I can provide to sellers. Here's what I don't want. I don't want somebody to look at this video and think, oh, well, she's a doctor and she's got special training and blah, blah, blah. That's not really it. What I want people to hear is there are ways in which you work in other aspects of your life and look at those skill sets. What is transferable to those kitchen table conversations when you're talking with the seller and you're trying to help them solve this problem? And that's really it. People should be able to draw from other aspects of their life and bring that to the table quite literally. Because, the kind of listening that you do with your kids or your family or your friends, those are the same listening skills you need to bring to the conversation. If I know what I'm able to do, and I also have a sense of sort of what the range of options are for the seller, I can more easily, kind of lay it all out for them. And they'll pick the stuff that works for them. And I even try to sort of prioritize. It's like, even if it's to my disadvantage, that's a lot of credibility. I can say the most money you're going to make is maybe this, and it might be an option in which they don't work with me, or I don't get paid, or something like that. So I have no problem having that conversation. But again, the skill set comes from other areas as well. And folks should know that they probably have that skill set, need to be really conscious of it and considering it and how they can bring it into their real estate investing world. I specifically look at Joe's techniques because I want to be able to increase my income. So I'm able to, buy properties, and I'm a buy and hold investor in large part. But many of the techniques that Joe teaches are ones in which I can actually increase my income right now, and I don't have to pull money out of, say, the passive income I'm able to generate from the rental income, and that can circulate right back into the business and help grow that. So I actually look to these techniques to help me increase my income, and that way I don't have to leech off of other monies in my company, and I can just basically survive on these techniques. I have to say, being a real estate investor is the most fun I have ever had. There's a level of creativity associated with solving problems and putting together the deals that is fantastic. But I have a lot of control over my time. I'm able to have a super flexible schedule. I spend more time with friends and family. I don't have to pay malpractice insurance. That's very nice. So it really is... I'm happier, I make more money, and I have a better lifestyle. So I'm actually able to craft the kind of life that I really want to lead. So it's the freedom, range of options and choices that real estate investing allows me. Yeah, the auto marketer in particular is going to let me automate the parts of my business that that need to be automated. I mean, if I can reduce the amount of time that I'm doing that kind of stuff, and that's how you're able to leverage your time. My company makes money when I am in my zone doing the things that I'm really, really good at. So going out and doing the lead generation and reaching out on an automated basis, that's not a good use of my time. So I'd much rather outsource that to software and leverage technology to be able to do that. I get my time back for that, and they're much more efficient at it than I would ever be. So I have really two things. One is you have to commit yourself to financial education. And there are tons of websites out there, lots of podcasts, YouTube channels, etc., and read books, the old-fashioned thing. I'm a huge believer in education, and I will tell you that I typically, on any given week, I listen to 15 to 20 hours of educational podcasts every single week. I do that because I'm listening in my truck as I'm driving around and doing my job. Not too many people can really touch that. I consume a lot of educational information. And what I would say to newbies is two things. There are plenty of ways in which you can get into real estate without money. We all know that. But you're going to pay with time or you're going to pay with money. So if you don't have money, you got to make sure you've got the time. Make sure you're spending that time efficiently in the areas that will give you the best results and the greatest yield. You won't know what those are unless you have financial education. And then you keep adding to that. Once you start to get a little bit of success and you're practicing your craft, you have to stay in your lane. Don't get distracted by shiny penny, oh shiny syndrome. Super easy to do so. Stay in your lane. Get really good at that one thing and commit yourself to it, and all the education you could possibly consume. Stay in that. Get good at it, and use that as a stepping stone to the next series of techniques. There's another piece of advice I would give potential real estate investors that I don't think people are talking about. Lots of folks will say just what I said: financial education, find a mentor. That's always a great one too. Talk to other people in your local network. Start intersecting yourselves in those local real estate investor groups, and all that's pretty classic kind of advice. But the thing that I would actually recommend even before that is clean your own house. And what I mean by that is understand your own budget. Literally, your own finances. Understand where your debt is. Pay down debt. It's kind of like training. You want to do a lot of practice and a lot of training for a real estate investment career. And if your personal finances are messy and scattered and all over the place, and you don't have your act together when it comes to your own personal finances, it's going to make that process even more difficult and a lot less likely that you will succeed or succeed well or succeed right away. So really step one, I would say, is clean up your own house first. Take care of bad debt. Start to take care of the other financial aspects of your life that might need to be cleaned up. Do that first. That might take 3 to 6 months. At the same time you're doing that, you should be pouring on the financial education as well. So 3-6 months down the road, you've got a ton of education under your belt. Your personal finances and your personal life is tight and clean and kind of taken care of. And in that way you can launch from a very solid platform and then move forward with some confidence.